Put a NASCAR Cup champion on a mile-and-a-half oval, and he's a god. He'll run the wall at 190 miles an hour, side drafting 3 wide, inches off the concrete, and never blink. He's a killer. Tough as nails. Now sit that same bloke down in a sim rig, load up Mount Panorama, and watch him fall apart in about 90 seconds. I'm not exaggerating, mate. Championship-winning American drivers, guys, with trophies you couldn't fit in a garage, get to the top of the mountain, hit a corner called the Dipper, and the car just spits them into the wall over and over, and they can't figure out why. Here's the mystery we're cracking today. It's not skill. These guys have buckets of skill. It's a specific technical muscle memory wall that the American system literally cannot teach. There's a blueprint to beating Bathurst, and right now on planet Earth, basically one man has it. So grab a coffee. Let's decode why the best oval racers on the planet are getting humbled by a mountain in New South Wales, and why the physics were rigged against them before they ever turned a lap. Right, first thing you've got to understand, a NASCAR Next-Gen car and a supercar are not cousins. They're barely the same species. The Next-Gen car is a beast, roughly 3,400 pounds with driver and fuel, a 5.86-liter V8, and here's the kicker for our story, a 5-speed sequential gearbox. You pull the lever, bang, next gear, no clutch dance required. The car's got independent rear suspension now and an open differential. Remember that word, open. It's about to become the whole plot. A supercar, lighter, more nimble, built from the ground up for turning left and right, and critically, a locked differential and a proper H-pattern gearbox where downshifting is an art form. Now here's where the sim exposes everyone. In iRacing, the physics don't lie and they don't care about your resume. The model punishes exactly the things oval racers never had to learn. And the number one thing they never learned? Braking with the correct foot. But the pedals aren't even the biggest problem yet, because before you get to the pedals, you got to survive the mountain itself, and that's a whole different nightmare. Mount Panorama is not a racetrack. It's a public road that pretends to be flat and is lying to your face. The circuit has a 174-meter vertical difference between its highest and lowest point. Let that sink in. That's a 57-story building's worth of elevation change packed into a 4-mile lap, and parts of it run at gradients as steep as 1 in 6. 1 in 6! That's steeper than most people's driveways, and these blokes are trying to brake on it at qualifying speed. Take the run over the top. You've got skyline, then you're dropping into the S's, then the Dipper, and the Dipper sits on that brutal 1 in 6 plunge. On a sim, here's what murders the American drivers. The corner is blind. You're cresting a hill with a mountainside wall on your left, and you cannot see the apex until you're committed. On an oval, you can see the whole track, every corner, all day. Your eyes are never guessing. At Bathurst, your eyes are always guessing. And when the elevation drops away, the car goes light, the arrow stops working, and if your inputs aren't already perfect, you're a passenger. The wall is right there, concrete on both sides. There's no runoff, no grass, no second chance. It's Bathurst kisses you and then it kills you, as the locals say. So the oval instinct, I can see it, I'll sort it out, gets you binned instantly, but even the drivers who train their eyes still hit an invisible ceiling. And that ceiling has a name. It's called brake migration, and it's the trap almost nobody talks about. Okay, this is the technical gold. Stay with me. When you brake going downhill, weight slams forward onto the front tires. When you brake going uphill into a corner, the load balance shifts completely differently. Bathurst does both. Constantly, corner after corner, your effective brake bias is migrating under you the whole lap. Set your bias for the flat bits, and you'll lock the fronts on the downhill and blow the corner. Set it for the downhill, and you've got no front bite anywhere else. An oval racer has one brake bias setting he barely touches all race. At Bathurst, you're managing a moving target with your right foot, while your eyes are blind and the car's going light over crests. And now, the thing, the blueprint everybody's chasing. In a supercar, because you run that locked diff, the rear wants to lock up and step out under brakes. So Aussie drivers learn to right foot brake with the right foot while working the clutch, and throttle with the left, a heel and toe technique. that lets them control that rear lock and actually help the car rotate into the corner. Shane van Gisbergen explained it himself. The clutch comes out as you turn in and it helps the car turn. American drivers, they left foot brake, sequential box, no clutch needed, open diff, tons of front bias. Their entire career, their muscle memory is built the opposite way. And when they try to switch, disaster. But you have to hear how bad it gets, because a Cup champion said the quiet part out loud. Real quick, if you're following brake migration and diff behavior before the broadcast blokes have even said the word understeer, then you are exactly who this channel is built for. You're the nation. Do me one favor, hit subscribe. We decode the stuff the telecasts skip. All right, back to the champions falling apart. Here's the proof, straight from the drivers. Ross Chastain, a legit Cup winner, a hard-charging, watermelon-smashing racer, tried to copy SVG's technique. His words, "My feet are on the wrong pedals when I do it his way." He said he can hold it together for a corner or three, and then the next lap, his brain snaps back to the old way. At 33 years old, he flat out said it's too late to rewire it. Joey Logano, a two-time Cup champion, reportedly started a road course weekend right foot braking and bailed on it during practice. Bailed. A champion tapping out mid-session because the technique fought his instincts. Denny Hamlin said he was actually taught the old-school right foot way 20 years back, but going back now, really hard. And he doesn't see a single young American driver volunteering to learn it and stick with it. That's the wall, mate. It's not talent. It's 20 years of muscle memory laid down on ovals that Bathurst demands you delete and rewrite, and a sim is merciless. It gives you no arrow crutch, no spotter in your ear, no just send it. It exposes the technique gap raw and naked. So who actually has the blueprint? One bloke, and his numbers are frankly stupid. Shane van Gisbergen, the Kiwi, three-time Supercars champion who rocked up to NASCAR and won on debut at the Chicago Street Course in 2023, his first ever Cup race. Since then, he's stacked up around 8 Cup road course wins, won 6 of the last 7 road races at one stretch, and rocketed to equal third on the all-time NASCAR road course win list, chasing legends like Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart. That is a genuinely absurd hit rate, and here's the blueprint that nobody can nick off him. NASCAR runs an open data system called SMT. Every rival can literally download SVG's telemetry and study exactly what he's doing, and they still can't copy it. Why? Because it's not in the data, it's in his feet. His teammate, young gun Connor Zilish, nailed it. You never see him slipping tires out of a corner where everyone else is flat to the floor. SVG isn't even at full throttle, and he's still faster. He never pushes the car past what it needs. He saves the tires, and then when he decides it's time, he just goes. That's the Bathurst brain. Manage the load, protect the rears, use the clutch to rotate, brake with the migrating bias, eyes reading blind crests. He's known since he was a teenager. He didn't learn it in a season. He learned it climbing that mountain his whole life. The rivals have the map. SVG has the muscle memory, and you cannot download muscle memory. So here's where I hand it to you, and I want a proper blue in the comments. If you took the raw talent, say a Kyle Larson, a generational wheelman, and gave him 2 solid years, nothing but supercars and sim time on the mountain, could he crack the Bathurst blueprint? Could raw talent eventually beat a lifetime of muscle memory? Or is SVG's edge simply unteachable to anyone who grew up turning left? 2 camps, team talent versus team muscle memory. Drop your pick below and tell me why. And if you rate someone who could genuinely dethrone the Kiwi on the mountain, name him. Smash that like if you learned something, subscribe if you're one of us, and I'll see you in the next one. Nation flat out, always.